Welcome to episode 106 of the Left Behind Game Club. This week we play Pokemon Snap. As always, you can find all things Left Behind Game Club at leftbehindgame.club, on our Twitter at leftbehindclub, and on Instagram at leftbehindgameclub. If you like talking to great people about great video games and other things, you can check out our Discord. The link to that is at leftbehindgame.club/discord. Without further ado, let's snap them all in Pokemon Snap. Let's get right into it. You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club. Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have three friends with me. The first friend, you know him, you love him. His name is Mo Murtati.
Let's go, Pokemon. We haven't done a Pokemon, I think. Let's do it.
We have never played a Pokemon game, and here to talk about Pokemon with us, it is not two gentlemen from the Pokemon podcast. It is two gentlemen from the Player podcast. Bad jokes, I'm sorry. Joseph Hooper, Arsene Lakpa. Welcome back to the show.
What's up?
Yeah. We're excited. We're happy to be here.
Would you ever consider changing the name of your podcast to the Pokemon podcast?
Nah, bro, I'm off Pokemon. I wouldn't allow that.
Sword and Shield. Change my half. So we'll be the Pokemon Player podcast.
Okay.
That's a pivot.
I'll agree with that.
You might change the name to Pokemon Player Podcast, but for the folks who don't know who you are, tell us about the Player podcast.
All right. Well, if you guys didn't hear our previous episode where we played a little Gato Roboto and gave you guys the pitch, I'll give you the pitch again. So the Player podcast is a weekly show where we talk about pretty much anything and everything video games. It's a water cooler episode or a water cooler show where we kind of come in, we're casual, but we talk about things we care about, whether it's next-gen consoles coming out, whether it's, why are there not enough black characters in video games, or, best bathrooms in video games. We'll talk about anything. We're just here to have a good time and chill.
Dope.
Facts. And if you want to listen to that episode after you've listened to this one that they were on, you can check out episode 82. That is our Gato Roboto episode that features this exact same cast. And I just want to throw up, mad praise for Player. It is a great podcast in my weekly rotation. Y'all should check it out. Pokemon Snap is a video game developed by HAL Laboratories, published by Nintendo, released on the N64 in 1999, making this the oldest game that we have ever played on the podcast. Gentlemen, we're going to start the show with our fast pitch, which is a one-sentence pitch on Pokemon Snap. Who wants to start?
Give it to me.
All right, Arsene, you've got the ball. The Pokeball. Go for it.
Whoa. Pokemon Snap is your older brother's first Pokemon racing game. Boom.
Done. Love it. Who's up next?
I'll do it. So my pitch is essentially the most timeless Pokemon game, ? That's it.
Okay.
I'll
go next and say that, and this may be a really Canadian reference, but this is the African Lion Safari, the video game. That's it.
That makes
That's
exact
a bad
sense.
pitch.
No, but it makes exact sense. To give context, it's essentially like an amusement park that's in Canada where you jump in your car, you follow a path, and you see safari animals. Very, I don't even know if it's still open. This is way back when.
African Lion Safari, but Pokemon.
I get it. And you have a camera. I'd say, it's something along that lines of that, but my quick pitch would be Pokemon Snap is a roller coaster ride where you're taking pictures of Pokemon.
I love it. What was your personal history with Pokemon Snap? I can go first and share that I played this game back in 1999 when I had an N64. I loved Pokemon when it first came out. Pokemon Blue, Red, I think was 1996. Huge fan. And I even went into my local Blockbuster Video to take the cartridge and put it into a sticker machine. Did you guys know about this thing?
I did, yeah.
Heard.
So what did you know about the sticker machine?
I just knew they existed. I just knew they were at Blockbuster. You can, take your Pokemon memory card and get some real life photos of those crispy photos you took of them Pokemon.
Yeah, you had this like vending machine, and you'd go up to the Blockbuster video counter and you'd say, hey, I want to get some Pokemon Snap stickers. You'd have to bring your cartridge in. You'd buy this little card that had like a Squirtle or a Charmander or a Jigglypuff on it. You'd swipe it in the machine, you'd put in your cartridge, and then it would print out your actual pictures in like stamp size, and it was the coolest thing that I'm sure like 10-year-old me was losing his GD mind.
This was like Gen 1 amiibos or something, right? Like the first integration where you're buying that extra little scanner thing.
Yeah, I lost my mind when it first happened. I was 10 years old, so I had a small mind, but it was super cool. I think in the States they had them in Lawson stores too.
Man, I wish I had a background.
No, Lawson is Japan. Never mind. Sorry.
No worries. I'm like, I wish I had an experience like that with Pokemon Snap. My history is essentially I only played it when I visited friends' house. I grew up in the PlayStation world, so I had the PlayStation 1. So the only time as I got to play like Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap was visiting friends' house. So the first, second, and third levels I've played hundreds of times probably. And the other ones I never did because I never had the game. So this was my chance to play most of the other levels.
Yeah, on my end, I don't remember where I got introduced to Pokemon Snap. I do remember renting it from Blockbuster at some point, but I owned it. I now own Pokemon Snap. I literally have the cartridge in my living room, like sitting up there as like a little prop. It is, in my opinion, one of the best N64 games out there. And I just loved it. And playing it brought back so many feels. So I'm excited to talk about it.
As the resident baby boy of this episode, I was literally 2 years old when this game came out, so I knew
no excuses.
That you're right. I should have hopped on, should have said "Goo Goo Gaga" and then had my mama slap that controller right in my hands. But no, I had no idea the existence of Pokemon Snap probably until I guess my young adulthood or something like that. Just because, even though I became a Pokemon fan probably around the time I was like 7, so like around 2004, 2005-ish or something like that. But it just never popped up on my radar. So this was my first time ever booting up the game. I've seen the main character before. I've seen screenshots, I guess, maybe. I've never seen any gameplay. So it was an experience, definitely an experience, hopping on Pokemon Snap.
I'm excited to jump into it, gentlemen. Before we get into that, though, I want to know how you played it. Joseph, you said you played it on an N64. Is it your OG N64, or did you buy a new one to play?
Well, here's the correction. I played it on an N64 when I was a wee lad, but my N64, my original one, is back in my parents' house. So I played it on the emulator.
Mo, how'd you play it?
PC. I got a little emulator for it to kind of get through it. That's how I used it.
Emulator, same as anybody else. I never owned an N64, which, kind of a shocker here, but yeah.
And I played it on Wii U, which, let me tell you, that was a trip.
Was it nice?
Did it work okay on the Wii U? Like, what was the fidelity like, too? Is it 480?
So, yeah, it was 480. What's cool about the Wii U is you can, for N64 games or for Game Boy Advance games, other Virtual Console games, you can take the gamepad and, use it like a Switch and, take it away. So my Wii U was in my office, and I was sitting on the couch in my living room, and it was just distant enough that it would work. If I moved it a foot to the left, it would stop working. But this is Switch V1 stuff, and it worked really well. So I'm the only one who played it on Wii U. It's a fine version of that game. What kind of game is Pokemon Snap? I know we talked about how it's like a African Lion Safari on rails where you take pictures, but is there any more that we need to know about Pokemon Snap?
I mean, I see Pokemon Snap as the ultimate introduction to the world of Pokemon, right? You're not overblown with all these different mechanics. You don't have to worry about battle systems. You don't need to worry about PP, any of that stuff. It's just this is the world of Pokemon. These are the creatures of this world. This is kind of the temperament of most creatures. And from there, that's when you pick up Pokemon Stadium and the regular Pokemons and start fighting.
Yeah, I think with kind of going off that as well, with Pokemon Snap, I see it as it's a straight up arcade game. I could have definitely imagined seeing this game in a Dave and Buster's or your Chuck E. Cheese or something. And in that case, it would have been an excellent introduction to all the little snot-nosed kids running around those establishments. So
yeah, I think it's the one of the I'm taking a shot in the dark, but I'm pretty sure it's the first game where you're able to be amongst the Pokemon. Whereas like Pokemon Stadium, it's essentially just a 3D Pokemon game where you're fighting. And then the regular world, it's kind of like that. What's the overview perspective? You don't really get to walk amongst the Pokemon and see them. So this is that first thing where it's like, oh my goodness, like Pikachu's right next to me laughing, or Snorlax, I can wake him up. What? This is so cool. It's like you get to finally interact with like the world of Pokemon that they keep pitching in like the TV and all that stuff. That's how I kind of see it as the first glimpse.
I don't know if you felt this way, but and it's probably because this is the oldest game that we've ever spoken about on the podcast, but I don't know if this game like aged particularly well.
No, it didn't. I'm gonna tell you that much right now.
See, I completely disagree. Like, I felt like I'm not gonna say it aged well, where it's like, oh man, like it's still crisp, but I still felt like the purpose of the game and the elements of the game that really that they really wanted to stand out really still held up. Like me seeing Pokemon like jump out of the water, like all these little secret bits, all of the temperaments and like the Pikachu on the surf, like all these cool little Easter eggs and stuff were still fun to me and it's still exciting to me. So far after it was released, right? Even the mechanics, they're not too many mechanics to make it feel like it's outdated. There's literally like drive, take a picture, play this button, play that button. Like it's not like I'm playing Super Mario 64 and Mario's falling off the edge because the controls don't feel right. So I do think it aged pretty well for what it is.
To be fair, I think it's because it has like, from what I remember from the traditional N64 controller, that little what's the center dongle or like thumbstick?
The analog.
The analog little, that one, the one that we control the camera on, the N64, the center little piece, that controller for the camera was like so just one dimensional. Like the speed was one speed when you're turning. There's no like acceleration that we're used to in like modern first person titles. Like you can't like jump and turn around like in a Call of Duty game. This thing is like, you want to look to the left? Okay, well here's the speed, it moves to the left. It's something that if you're only used to modern games, you can pick this one up and be like, ugh, what's wrong with the controls? And specifically with me playing on a keyboard, I didn't use a controller. I had to use the arrow buttons, which was like immediately left, immediately up, immediately down. So it didn't age well, but it was, the controls were so bare bone that like when you see it now, it's like, it still works. It still works. That's why it ages well, I think.
Maybe I'm treating it unfairly because the way I thought of this game is like it reminded me a lot of the arcade games that would make it to console that were coming out like in the 90s and like early 2000s, like Time Crisis, like Point Blank on PlayStation, those light gun games. Essentially, it's like they jam 1 hour of content into a cartridge, and either they just sell you 1 hour of content that you can just play over and over again to get the highest score, or they just like extend the gameplay through some really terrible game design. And I hate that I'm dunking on this game already, but I feel like that's what happened here. It's like it is a 1 hour game that they somehow extended to 3 or 4 hours that maybe wasn't as fun to play as a 1 hour game would have been.
Man, this is about to be a long podcast because I'm about to fight tooth and nail for the honor of Pokemon Snap. Let me tell you, because I love this game. Let's do it.
Yeah. Don't worry. I think you have someone on your side.
Okay.
We'll have a little 2v2, I think. But I may be swayed either way.
Oh, let's go! Okay, should we just take the gloves off and get into it? This is a bad video game.
Objection! Phoenix Wright sound.
See, okay.
This is a bad video game. Debate me.
I want to agree with you because when I first booted up this game, I was, 5 minutes into like the intro screen. I was like, okay, it's fine. I get into the actual gameplay and I was like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be playing for this podcast that I've never played this game before. You guys really having me out here play this little on-rails game. I've played way better. I played the Rambo on-rails game in Dave & Buster's, years ago. And that game was way better than this, bro. The Terminator one, that was way better than this. But,
I think this is a very good sense of, like, if you've played it before, the nostalgia gets you over the hump, I think. Whereas if you don't have that piece, you might just kind of take it on at face value. The controls are garbage based off what I've played before. There's really no story. You're locked into like one roller coaster path where you can't move. So if you missed a shot, you're like, I missed it. You have to restart. But that I think is where it gives it a little bit of that like character. Because back then there wasn't really a a game like this. There hasn't really been one like I think since, and it kind of gave you that thing where you have one game for some people for like every 6 months, maybe a year, and this had that replayability. Oh, you didn't get that perfect Meowth shot, you're gonna have to try it again, and you have those people who are like grinding for like the max score. It's like you have to wait until Electrode explodes, or you have to wait till Dragonite jumps out. You're like hunting for those moments, and you only have 5 seconds in that path to get it, and if you don't, do it again. So I think that's where it gives it that value. It's replayability, and it keeps kids engaged. And it's a crazy Pokemon game that hasn't been out before. I think it's a great game when you take in all of those other things around it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, if you are looking for a game and you see Pokemon Snap on the bargain bin and it's 2020, you pick it up and this is what you play, then sure, I agree. It's a bad game, right? But let's think of the times, right? When this came out, like Mo said, this is something that had never been done. And even since, right, as far as I know, there's no game that captures the magic of photography and kind of that you need to get the shot at the right moment feeling like Pokemon Snap did at that time. Like, yeah, it seems very basic. We're adults. Like, we don't want to be on rails just like going at one speed for the most part, taking pictures of Pokemon. But I think, like, one, I did play the game and I did know what to expect. So I knew what the mechanics were. I knew what the levels were like. So I wasn't like shocked or disappointed or anything like that. But also, like, once you get past that and once you really look at it as like, all right, we're in the world of Pokemon. Like, I'm going to see what I can find. I'm going to try and uncover things and just play through this as it is, which is just a casual picture taking game. I love it, man. I think it's super relaxing. I think the essence of Pokemon is captured way better than almost any other Pokemon game. Like, sure, you're just battling people in the top down. Like, even Pokemon Sword and Shield, bro. Like, what is that? It's super corny. Like,
that's a good video game.
Okay, like it forces you to enjoy it as a kiddie game where it has all these puns, it has all this atmosphere and dialogue that, you know, forces it to be a kid game. Whereas this is just like, make of it what you will, man. You're just on the rails. You think this is cute, it's cute. If you think this is cool, this is cool. If you think this is lame, this is lame. But it kind of lets you put your own interpretation on it through your picture taking.
Yeah, one thing I don't think anyone really talks about too is there's a kind of like a local multiplayer aspect where like, hey, let me go through the beach level and try to get a better photo of like these 3 things, or try to get a cumulative score from the kid next to you or whoever it was. So going in, it's like it's at the time, like we're saying, it was a fantastic game because it gave you so much and you can make with it what you want. Like, you can make it a speed run, get every picture of a Pokemon and call it a day, or you can like find the perfect photo of your favorite Pokemon. You can do whatever you want.
I do want to say, you know, before we move forward, you know, I did come out a little strong, you know, with my opinions on Pokemon Snap. After that, you know, initial, you know, 15 minutes or so, like, I remember distinctly, I told my fiance, I said, hey, I'm not feeling this game. I'm not vibing with it. I come back, you know, she comes back in an hour later. I'm like, okay, I understand. I understood why, you know, the nostalgia could kick in, because I'm a Pokemon fan. Like, I guess the rest of us are, at least of the original generation. I like seeing these Pokemon in their natural habitats or whatever. And even though I did have some gripes with, like, you know, I guess the actual, like, you know, some of the actual mechanics of the game, some of the things that were present in the game still kind of got me, in a way, this 20-year-old game got me hyped for Pokemon Snap 2. That's supposed to be coming out whenever or whatever. So I'm definitely interested in seeing, you know, what will happen. What will the new generation get?
Yeah, and I wonder, like, how is it going to even, like, transfer as, like, a game? Because, like, to specifically some moments that I remember from, like, the TV show, the original, like, Ash Ketchum TV show. So there's a moment where you're going down the river, and you can throw apples to a Slowpoke until he puts his tail in the water. Mm-hmm. His tail gets bitten by a Shelder, he evolves into a Slowbro. Mm-hmm. I remember vividly when I was a kid, like, I wonder if I, like, move him over. There's a Shelder picture. Let me see if he moves. And then he'd get over there, put his tail in, and I'm just, like, freaking out as a 10-year-old. Like, oh, I made Slowpoke evolve. Oh, I'm Pokemon Master. It's like those moments I remember when I replay them, and I wonder if kids playing the new game are going to have that connection, or those little magical moments where it's like, that happened in the show and I just did it.
So, Mo, walk me through that because I actually am too dumb to have figured it out. How do you get Slowbro? That's one of the only ones I couldn't figure out.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I can't remember the level itself, but it's the stream where there's like the invisible polygons that pop out. Yeah. So in that one, and there's like a slowpoke that's just hanging out near the rivers, and you'll see shelders kind of jump up and just doing their own thing. So there's an area where if you throw apples, it will like move up and like chase them until it gets to the this little like pad, and then once the asset detects it's within that area, it just turns around, puts its tail in the water, it gets bitten by a shelder, and then that's how Slowpoke evolves in the show. Those two come. That's why in the video game, I think you trade the two. You trade someone a shelder and like a Slowpoke, and when you trade them, you guys both get buddy. I can't remember. That was probably one of Gen 1. I can't remember.
So funny enough, like. Yeah. I remembered this moment as a kid. Like, I remembered that Slowpoke, and I was like, I know a shoulder would come and, bite his tail and he'll evolve, but playing it back through, I literally couldn't remember how to do it. Like, I was throwing him apples, I was trying to get him to turn around and put his tail in, but I just couldn't do it. But that's a vivid memory that has stuck with me. Like,
see, you didn't even play it
exactly. I knew it could happen. I just couldn't remember how to do it. But yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, it's fair for anyone that's not played it before. It's fair to just say that like you are going to go through a level that's maybe 2 to 4 minutes long, and the whole game is like replay it, get the best Pokemon pictures, get the most Pokemon, whatever. And some of the Pokemon along the level, they have like predetermined like AI routines that they have to kind of hit every time the level happens. But if you set them off with some of your tools, your bait, or like the apple that you can throw, the pester ball, or the poke flute, depending on which items you have and how you use them, you can get the Pokemon to do certain special things. So, for example, in one of the levels, you can take a Charmeleon and throw an apple at him, and he falls into a lava pool, and then he evolves into a Charizard. Mm-hmm. So, fair to say that like this whole game is built on replayability of very short levels, but it probably takes you, no joke, like some of the levels will take you 7 or 8 times before you get all the secrets because you don't have all the tools or you don't know how to evolve a specific Pokemon.
Yeah, and they have it built in too. Like you don't get all the tools until later on, so you'll play like the river level and you won't have the apples initially. So all you can do is just take photos of new Pokemon. And then like the next round, it's like, oh, well, here's a new item you could use. And you have to like have that mindset like, okay, I can go back, or I have to go back to unlock the new level. And you just play around with it.
Hot take real quick. Do you guys think that Pokemon Snap can be considered a roguelike? Just because of this replayability that you have, you unlock these new, mechanics throughout the game.
Wouldn't it be a Metroidvania in that case? Because you're going back to the levels with the new equipment.
I would say that this game like precedes roguelikes. I would almost call it like a light. It's almost like a light gun game, like an arcade game. That's what I liken it to. But I can totally see what you're saying, Arsene, about it being like a precursor to roguelikes, because those really didn't hit until like the 2010s, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What was your favorite Pokemon that you found?
I'll go first. Just because it's the one you kind of brought up there. There's the moment when a Charmeleon's just walking around at the end of the level, and if you don't know that you can knock him in, you get that like Charizard right up close, right in front of you, and he'll pretty much do a pose where you get like a very perfect shot. Charizard is like my favorite Pokemon as a kid. Like I bought Pokemon Red because Charizard's on the box, the whole like thing. So when I saw that, it was like, I remember as a kid, like I pushed him in accidentally. I didn't really know what was going to happen. And then Charizard pops up. So and that was my favorite one.
I think for me, it'd probably be the same level, but the Moltres egg. Because for starters, I had no idea why this egg was in the middle of the track. And then it low-key scared me because I'm sitting here. I'm just like, oh, well, sorry to that Pokemon. And then this Moltres just burst out of the fire, and I'm like, what are we doing here? What like I didn't realize we're gonna be getting legendary Pokemons literally level. Is that the third level? Second or third level, something like that. But yeah.
Volcano.
That's another thing this game kind of did. So Pokemon is very conservative with their legendary Pokemon like sprinkling in like content in general. That's like a rare thing. The cards are rare. In the show you never see them unless it's like an Elite Four or like a final person kind of thing. So like that one, it's like third level. Here's Moltres. Like you never see Moltres, and he's just like like flying around like, what's up? We're in this world together. Right. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'd say legendary Pokemon were were definitely like a highlight of this game as a kid. And I knew they were coming, but it's cool to see them. You unlock them as you get more equipment and stuff and find the different strategies. But my favorite Pokemon, it's tough because there was a lot of great moments in this game. But I think it's probably the Gyarados where on the, I guess, the boulder, I don't even know, the river raft level, I don't know. But you at the beginning of the game, you knock a Magikarp out of the water. Valley, there you go. You knock a Magikarp out of the water. That Magikarp gets punched by a Mankey, gets punched over a mountain, just gets absolutely whopped. And then he just gets punched around the level until he ends up going into a waterfall, and a Gyarados emerges out. And I like it because, one, you have no idea what's going on. You just think you're knocking around this Magikarp for half the level. And two, because it's so rare, like there was one point where I did it. I just knocked the Magikarp out, and then for whatever reason, I look behind me. I'm like, whoa, a Gyarados. It feels like you're actually fumbling to get your camera out and trying to snap pictures at the last minute, man. I love it.
Yeah, I guess I would say my favorite was probably the Charizard, but I think like an honorable mention is all the different ways that you can make Pikachu do things. So like there's a surfing Pikachu, there is a quick attack Pikachu, there is like a dumb Pikachu in the cave that if you like hit him with something in the head, he's Pikachu, and he like is all confused. I'm bad at impressions.
That was pretty good.
But yeah, Thank you. I'm here all day. If you want to find my Pikachu impressions, you can find me on Fiverr at fiverr.co/Jacob McCourt Pokemon. Yeah, there was some really cool like Pokemon moments where like I'm sure if I was a 10-year-old kid, I would be losing my mind. Did you guys know the name of the main character in this game? I'm ready. I'm about to make you cringe.
Dang. I want to say it's like Dan, Bobby, Josh, John, something like that.
Photographer.
No, it's even better. You're very close, actually.
It's like Sierra, Colorado. Hunters.
Todd Snap.
I did know that. I've heard
what's
that
his name
before.
Todd Snap?
Todd Snap.
That's crazy. So it's
What a
Pokemon
name.
Snap. No, it doesn't even make any sense.
Because it's
Because of him.
Todd. He's a character from the anime. Is he not like a relative to Professor Oak?
Yeah, I think so. He's
That sounds
definitely in the
right.
show. I forgot what I remember I hated him.
I could have been making that up. Like he was in the original anime, but I could have swore he was like a relative of Professor Oak, but I could just be making that up.
He doesn't call you like son or nephew in the game. So
Uncle Oak.
This must be the first time ever in video games that Oak is voiced, because he is voiced in here just saying like one or two lines. Oh, but that was wild to me.
It did surprise
it,
me
man.
as well.
give this man an Oscar.
I think it would have been very great,
Oh.
like if I had played this, around the time that it came out, especially with the anime or with the show at the time. You hear Oak on TV, now you're hearing him in the game. I think that would have been a nice little special connection there. But now, for me now, I'm like, oh wow, I bet you those folks back in the day sure enjoyed it. I felt a little left out.
What did you guys think of the progression in the game? Did you think that like it maybe impeded you a lot with like progression, that it took you too long to like get certain tools? The whole time I was just thinking like, hey, this is taking me a long time to get 7 levels and 62 Pokemon like snapped.
Yeah, for sure. I there was definitely, because I had played the game before, I was like, I forgot there was even a progression aspect. For some reason, I thought you just had everything right out the gate. So first level started, and I was like, bro, I thought there was a boost in this game. What's going on? Like, I was like, is my controller broken? Like, can I not activate the boost? And I was just kind of bummed. But then like after that, I was like, okay, let's just do it. And I kind of figured out what was going on. But yeah, like it definitely, especially because I played the game before and I'm like, oh, I know if I do this with the right tool, like I can just, get this Pokemon to come out and I snap the picture. So it was super hard to just be like going through these levels, waiting for these dang pester balls and flutes to unlock, but it's whatever.
I'm going to be honest. I think that, so for disclaimer, I did not finish the game. I made it, I made some pretty good progress throughout the game, but I did not complete it. And I can tell you right now, if I were a youngin', I don't think I would have finished this game. I know I did not have a great track record growing up beating games.
Facts.
I think I did beat the mainline Pokemon games. Those were probably like the ones that I just think they were very straightforward to beat. But something like this, where it did take a little bit more skill, I would say, and you have to like really be creative in the way that you encounter all these different Pokemon. How do you set up the shot so you can get the maximum amount of points? I don't know if I would have had the patience or the intellect to even figure out how to do that.
And that's exactly what I think is going to be the case if a new Pokemon comes out. I don't know if it's going to have the appeal. Like, I feel like I'm the customer, and I don't think I'm going to buy it because, like, it's going to be $70. Are you kidding me? Like, it's going to be. That's going to be a thing here. So I'm just going to call that one out.
That's it, yeah. I did finish the game, but there are only 7 levels in the game, and I felt as though, like, by about hour 2, I was ready to just, like, see all the things the game had to offer. The way the progression works, it's like, hey, go through this level, get the best pictures, and then get points to get tools. It just seemed like really unnecessary, and I don't know if y'all felt this way, but the methodology with which you would get your pictures evaluated, sometimes I would be like, wait, why is this picture that is clearly better? Okay, I'm staring at Pikachu's butt, but because Pikachu's butt is right in front of my face, center in the camera, it's worth double the points. It's dookie. It is not good. As you guys say, it's boo-boo.
Yeah.
Computer vision has come a long way, I think, and like just point detection as well maybe has come a long way. I feel like this game was like maybe the first time where like where screenshotting was the core mechanic of a game, essentially. Like, that's what we're doing. We're walking around and screenshotting what's happening, and I think they're just like, hopefully this little asset is close to the center, and maybe that's how they decide the point system. But I say I'll give them a B+ for effort. It worked. Sometimes you get bonuses that you don't deserve, and sometimes you don't get those bonuses. So it kind of comes in and comes out 50-50 at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for the time it is cool how they did, and they're like, oh, you have this in the photo and this in the photo, but absolutely, Professor Oak was capping half the time, bro. I'm like, bro, I literally have a picture of a Zubat holding a Pikachu, bro. This is like photographing Bigfoot, bro, and you're saying it's not good enough? You're just throwing this in the trash because I have a Pikachu on a surfboard, bro? Like, are you kidding me? This could do so much for Pokemon biology and research. It's a Zubat is holding a Pikachu, and I never got the proper points for that. I can never get the shot good enough, man. I'm salty about that.
You could sell this picture to the Pokemon tabloids, but Professor Oak is like, nah, I've already got this picture of surfing Pikachu.
Exactly.
Good, and I'm with you.
I know you're a super Spider-Man fan. I just see the Jonah Jameson situation where you're trying to sell the photo, and he's just like, no, get a better one.
Yeah, bro.
Like, it's not good enough. Yeah.
This says a lot about society. I'll tell you that much.
I know we've only gone for a little while, but is there anything else y'all wanna dive into on this? I think this is like a pretty go ahead, Mo.
One last thing I want to bring up, I didn't know if it was brought up yet. It's the positive reinforcement that Oak gives you initially when you first take like a whack photo. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, incredible. And like the dinging noise, it's like, oh, positivity. It's like a dog whistle almost, like giving you like, this is great. This is more great. All right, do it again. You're like, okay, I will. And you go back and do it. And then you get to the point later on where it's like, okay, the ding can only be awesome like the first 10 times. Now it's like, let's keep moving.
Yeah, so I have 2 things, all right? This is my show now. I got 2 whole topics. So one,
let's go.
Can we just take some time to appreciate the level of detail in these levels? Yes, it's like it takes long to get through the levels. Yes, you have to play them over again, but like the living, breathing nature of these worlds where, oh, there's a Lapras in the distance. Oh, there's some stuff going on in the weeds over here. Like, oh, like these Magnemites are just on the track and all this. Like, there's so much detail and so much nostalgia where, like, at this point, I'm playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it's literally like I'm just going through the motions. I'm collecting the Pokemon, and there's really, for me, it really lost that magic that excited me back when I was playing the games when I was younger. Whereas this game, yes, it's dated. Yes, the mechanics are a little busted or outdated or whatever, but it definitely still captures that Pokemon vibe where it's like, hey man, these are the Pokemon I know and I love. These are the Pokemon I grew up with. These aren't just random ice cream cones that have no personality to me. Like, world is living and breathing, and I'm very excited with how they kind of revitalize that for the next game.
First of all, you're gonna put some respect on Vanilux's name, okay? I can't
even say the name, bro.
No, that's because I said
Vanillux,
Vanillite. Okay, we get it. Put some respect on their names, all right? Second of all, I do agree. I do feel like Sword and Shield was kind of lacking in that same heart and character that was present in Pokemon Snap. I think that these levels, like you said, full of life. I think the developers did spend a lot of time and effort into making sure that there were a lot of like unique interactions for the young little boys and girls out there to discover. So I'm also excited to see how they can maybe expand upon that for Pokemon Snap 2, because I think we're at over 800 Pokemon now. And Pokemon Snap, the original, this one only had 62, right?
62 out of 151.
62 out of 151, and now we got 800 or so to pick from. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a wild ride. I'm hoping that they can at least, if they do decide to expand it, allow you to take so many, like a lot more pictures or something like that. And then I don't know, they're gonna have to do something with the gameplay loop as well. I feel like to prevent those feelings of, oh, this is repetitive. Oh, I just want to have everything. I want to get near the end or anything. So
that's a great point you bring up, Arsene, and I want to kind of loop it into a question I'm going to ask you. So there's a new Pokemon Snap game coming out called New Pokemon Snap. It was supposed to be out, I think, Q4 2020. It's been pushed to TBA. It's being made by Bandai Namco, and it is supposedly an updated, not an updated version, but a sequel to the original Pokemon Snap. In this game, 1, will you play it? And 2, what do you want to see from it?
Will I play it? I think first I'll need to see what's going on in it. I think something that I would look for, and I don't even know if this would really be the correct move. This is just more of an opinion of mine, but I would like to see, with this technology that we now have, I would like to see an open world, safari type game. So you're literally in the car, just whipping it, going around, and you'll find a Pokemon, you'll find these interactions. You can do the same things as in Pokemon Snap 1, but now you're just not on the rails anymore. You're off the rails. They should change the subtitle of the game to be New Pokemon Snap Off the Rails. That's all I need to see. Off the rails. It needs to have like flames on the logo, and I'll buy it day one. Pre-order.
Yeah, that was my second question. That was what I was thinking. Like, what can they do to this game to enhance it and make me want to buy it? So first of all, absolutely going to buy this. I don't care the price tag. Charge me $100, Nintendo. You've already proven that I'm a sucker to you. I have no willpower when it comes to Nintendo games. Just go ahead and charge me. Take the money out of my account right now. The question about, is it going to be good? I have no clue, because, like I said, this game captures a special nostalgia, where it's only 62 or whatever Pokemon. It's Pokemon that everybody knows. And I just hope that with this new game, they don't try to cram too much new garbage in there. Granted, I'm an adult. This game is not for me. And I'm like, don't put the new stuff in. I want the old stuff. But I really hope that they manage it in a way where it's not too overwhelming. And as long as they can still capture that environment where it's like you're always discovering new things, you're always unveiling new Pokemon and events in clever ways, then I'll be happy. Also, throw in some Instagram filters, some cropping, all the Instagram stuff in there, and we'll be good.
Though for sure, I think that's something you require for this type of game, and I think it's like a perfect DLC game too. Like next month we're going to introduce the Sinnoh region, or next week we're going to bring in the Kanto region Gen 1 Pokemon, or pay an extra $50 for this one.
No.
To be honest, could you imagine like a VR version?
Oh,
like you're in a roller coaster already. You just point and click, and you can touch Charizard now. You can touch Dragonite that's jumping out. I think it'd be a home run that way.
Yeah, I guess that I'm just a guy who will give it a shot. I had a lot of nostalgia for Pokemon Snap, but as a 30-year-old man who played it in 2020, obviously God, I hate myself. I didn't have the best time, but I am open to new Pokemon Snap. I'm excited at the possibility of, like y'all said, almost having an open world to explore, but would take levels too. I guess I'm just excited at the prospect of Pokemon Snap in 2020. I want to see what it's all about. I want to give it a shot. It's from Bandai. They've done great work with Have they done a Pokemon game before? They've done Nintendo games before, so I trust them. I'm just excited to see it. I have a quick question for everybody before we close the show. What's your favorite Pokemon game?
Can I go first? Came up right away. Oh, wait. I might not go first.
I'll go.
Okay, first thing came off the top of my head is Fire Red. Sorry. Pokemon Fire Red is my favorite because it had Gen 1 Pokemon and also had another region as well. I can't remember because I haven't played it in like a decade. But that universally in my head was, I remember having a pleasant experience where it was challenging. I could get a bunch of Pokemon I liked and recognized. There was no ice cream cones or shields, so we were good.
I'm going to piggyback off that one. Not Fire Red, but definitely the Soul Silver remakes of Gold and Silver. Just because, for the same reason, being able to access 2 regions, I thought was like, I'm like, wow, I'm getting the bang for my buck here. I'm paying for one Pokemon game. Are you serious? I get to go all over the place, and I get to fight 16 gyms, bro. Come on. I just thought that was such a cool aspect, and especially with Soul Silver, I think they had the gimmick with the Pokewalker, being able to send a little Pokemon buddy, a friend or whatever, attach them to your hip. This was Pokemon Go before Pokemon Go was even a thing. So I really did enjoy that, and I wish, obviously, me being I'm just telling the folks what I want. I want another remake. Give me another remake of the remake. How about that? Even though I know that's not going to come anytime soon. Maybe in the next 30 years or something like that when they release the Pokemon Master Collection, which I think they may be releasing something like that. I don't know. I don't want to get into speculations.
On my side, man, I have so much nostalgia for early Pokemon games. Like, I would call out Pokemon Emerald. That one stands out in my mind just because Rayquaza, or whatever, was just such a cool legendary for me at the time. And I always loved that that third Pokemon game that came after the dual set or whatever.
Right.
And then also honorary shout out to Pokemon Stadium franchise. Like, as a kid, that series was insane. And also one more shout out to Pokemon Coliseum, where you're running around and you're doing some dark, you're up to some hood stuff, stealing people's Pokemon, dark Pokemon. It was just weird and dark, and I loved it.
Okay, so I can see everyone's video camera for the people that are listening. I found the only Game Boy I have and the only cartridge I have in my apartment. And I'm just going to reveal it to the camera.
Baby.
Dun, dun, dun.
It is a Game Boy SP, and it is a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green, or is that Emerald?
That's Emerald. That's a beautiful emerald color, baby.
Wow.
You see? Oh, shit.
Yeah, Leaf Green was
Emerald,
a lot.
baby.
It was like the matte green color. This one had the see-through cartridge.
There it is.
Hey, she's beautiful.
You love to see it.
Hold on,
So-
hold that up, Mo. I'm gonna
So
hold
that's
it up
my
again. I'm
honorable
gonna take
mention.
a little screen grab.
That's for sure my honorable mention is Emerald. And the only reason I had a hesitation was because I wasn't sure if I was going to say Emerald, and I gave it to the OG Fire Red. There it is.
I think that I would also have to give it to Leaf Green, Fire Red as being my favorites. For a long time, I was like, yo, Pokemon Red and Blue, that's the stuff. But those games remake it in a really great way. So to me, it would be, Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, Pokemon Blue Red. And then there are some great ones we haven't even talked about, like Stadium 2 with those mini games on N64, like Let's Go. I've been curious about other games on like the DS and 3DS. I guess Cafe Mix is fine. There's some cool Pokemon games, but I'll stick to Leaf Green and Fire Red being my favorites. Gentlemen, I think we've talked a lot about Pokemon Snap. Do you have any final thoughts about the game or things we haven't covered yet? Because if so, now's your time. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I personally appreciate the opportunity to come on the podcast and discuss Pokemon Snap. I think without this opportunity, I don't think I would have ever picked up Pokemon Snap, the first one at least. And I don't think my hype meter for Pokemon Snap 2 would have ever built whatsoever. I probably would have been like, I'm still thinking about it. I kind of want to get in on it because I know people are going to want to, or other people are going to be wanting to play this game. But now that I've played the first one, I've got the hype. It's inside my blood. It's in my veins. And so I'm ready to see Pokemon Snap 2.
I'll just add, put some respect on Pokemon Snap's game. I know it's an old game, but it's a timeless classic. If you ever want to experience real-life Pokemon in the real world through a video game, I know that's kind of an oxymoron, play Pokemon Snap, because those top-down 8-bit, whatever, bit is not going to do it for you. Pokemon Snap is the game to play.
What about Pokemon Go? That's on your phone. It's free.
Not
That's a good game.
The map that they give you is too unrealistic. You want to be in the environments. You want to see the Pokemon doing real stuff.
Pokemon Snap is played with your world, so your world's the problem then.
Oof. Exactly. True, my world does have a lot of problems currently. Let's fix it up, guys.
I said Pokemon Snap is a bad video game. That was me just trying to be flippant and trying to get people's goat. Pokemon Snap is fine. It just didn't date well. In 2020, it's a tough game to play. It is like an arcade game. There's like an hour of content that was stretched into 4. But like, if you already have it and you want to put it in, play it for 30 minutes, like, it's a good time. It just overstays its welcome. It is clunky in 2020, but I'm still excited to play the new Pokemon Snap when that comes out next year.
If it comes out for like the Switch, it's a great little party game for people that have played it before. Like, if you guys were visiting, I'd be like, yo, you want to run like Pokemon Snap, like the first round real quick? And like, that's like, it takes no time and you can exchange back and forth really quick. So I think it's a great game if you've played it before. If you haven't, wait for the new one. It should be good, but we don't know really anything about it yet. So, but you might have to wait for the next one because it might be too jank and like inaccessible for anyone trying it fresh.
I want to start, a friendly little early competition. If the reviews on new Pokemon Snap are, at least somewhat decent, and we decide to pick up this game, or anybody who decides to pick it up, I want to see who can get the best photo, who can get the highest points, and we either keep track of it, I don't know, via Twitter or something. We just tweet at each other and be like, bro, check out this Mewtwo I just caught. I just got 15,000 points or something like that. I want to see, some type of, interactive hype level for this game.
Arsene, you are going to get officially like 4 tweets where people are going to be like, yo, dude, look at this Pokemon. Yo, dude, look at my Ekans.
Anybody who's better than mine, I'm deleting the tweet. I'll delete my own tweet just to salvage my reputation.
Cool.
All right. Well, that is where we will end off our episode about Pokemon Snap. Gentlemen, Arsene, Joseph, your second time back on the show. It was a pleasure. If folks want to find your show and want to find you, where's the best place they can do that?
Yes, sir. If you guys want to keep up with us, you guys can go to playerplayerpod.com. All the info about our social medias and stuff are up there on the website. If you guys want to keep up with us on Twitter, you guys can follow us at playerplayerpod. Our individual Twitter handles are at Pax Arsenica for Arsene here, and at the Hoopman for me, and the E and the is a 3. So the Hoopman and Pax Arsenica will post when our episodes go live, and that's pretty much it. And sometimes we'll tweet jokes.
In your show, it's like that water cooler feel where you guys catch up, and then you talk about a subject in video games where sometimes it's the hot topic, sometimes it's an old topic, but either way, if you listen to the show, I guarantee you will have a good time. So give them a listen. They get the Left Behind Game Club stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Thanks again, guys, for coming on. You are welcome anytime.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for coming, guys.
If you want to find more about the Left Behind Game Club, you can do so at leftbehindgame.club. You can find us on Twitter at leftbehindclub and on Instagram at leftbehindgameclub. If you want to talk to us directly, you can talk to me, you can talk to Mo, you can talk to Joseph, you can talk to Arsene, and you can do that in the Left Behind Game Club Discord. Mo, where's the best place where folks can find that?
There's 2 spots. So if you go to leftbehindgame.club/Discord, we have a redirect that's going to send you directly to the Discord to join up. There's also a big button if you're just browsing around, listening to some old podcasts on our site. Homepage, you'll see a big button that says Join Discord. Jump on and get talking with us. We have some, we try to play Among Us sometimes as a group. We talk about the new deals that are out. We kind of dig at each other when someone gets a PlayStation 5 and someone doesn't. We do all that little fun stuff and talk games and things of that sorts. So come on over.
If folks want to find you outside of the Discord, where's the best place they can do that?
You can find me mostly chatting in the Discord or on most social media platforms at Mritati, or streaming on Twitch at Shenron the Dragon from Dragon Ball Z.
And what do you stream on there? You're streaming a lot of League, right?
League, Planetary Annihilation, Titans, everything. Whatever I'm playing is on there. Usually some games for the pod as well.
You can find me on the internet at Jacob McCord on all major social media platforms. You can find me on YouTube at at youtube.com/JacobMcCourt. I put up the occasional video essay. My last one, very timely, is about the Xbox 360 launch. Give that a watch if you're going to buy yourself an Xbox Series X or S and you want to get the history. I also have another podcast called Cutscenes. It is a podcast about video game movies. We are currently on hiatus, but we are recording season 2 right now, coming out in early 21. So find that at cutscenes.ca. I think we got all the business out of the way. So with that, Mo, take us home.
And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.